Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather, and we're really looking at a seesaw pattern through Thanksgiving with the jet, with a robust ridge of high pressure still in control of the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's been like 11, 12, 13, 14 straight days of dry weather in Seattle, which is unheard of apparently for this time of the year. Well, eventually that'll break down and late in the period, but that's on the table. And we may have a northeast storm system to deal with. I'll talk about what I am thinking with that as well coming up. But let me just show you what the pattern is doing right now. Infrared satellite, there's that big high sitting over the Pacific Northwest, keeping things abnormally dry. The two lows are really amplifying the high, kind of running up and over through Alaska and northern BC. But the second low may have more of a more profound effect and start to bring some precip back into the Pacific Northwest. Just on or after Thanksgiving, and really open the door for better precip down the road. So I'll explain all of that in the forecast coming up here in just a second. Let me just show you as far as what the jet looks like right now. Here's a forecast for the 24th. So on Thanksgiving, notice the high has been moved to the south. That's important. That starts to open the door at least for a trickle of moisture into the Pacific Northwest on Thanksgiving or just after. But this should re-energize things up in the Pacific Northwest, BC and Banff, maybe northern Idaho, at least through that period. But look what it does a few days after that. By the 28th, totally different pattern in place. So at this point, we're looking at better feed of moisture for most of the interior Rockies, and it's possible with this, if we get this, that we'll be seeing snow with us through Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, northern Utah, and parts of Colorado, maybe even California, very late in the period, if we can get the breakdown of that high to occur. Now, out on the East Coast and the Northeast, this is the jet pattern for Thanksgiving. There's something there. At this point, you know, there's definitely the potential within the flow to create something here. It's not set in stone, that's for sure. It may not even look as good as it did a few days ago, but there's something there, a low coming through. So that's the 24th. Here's the 25th. There is some development just off the coast. It's not big. It's kind of an open wave. But this would produce some snow in the interior, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. May not be a lot, may not be as much as a few days ago we were looking at, but the thing I can say about this is the intensity and the track are in question. You know, if it strengthens, then you get more snow. If the track and intensity are optimized, then you get more snow. But this is the way it looks right now for the 25th. So let me show you what I'm thinking as far as timing goes. Let me take you back to the timing for all this. Here's my future radar and satellite for the west. All right, so here is Monday at 6 a.m. Here is Tuesday at 6 a.m. And notice there's some moisture starting to come through the Pacific Northwest. A little area of snow goes through in Idaho and western Montana, and that's gone. We have to wait for a bigger change. By the time we get to the 25th, we're still kind of waiting. So there's that initial small low that kind of sneaks through. I'll run this out for you one more time. But most of the southern Rockies are totally dry. Totally dry. You can see that. There's a little area that sneaks through Idaho, Montana, then it's gone. It's a little refresher for those areas. And there we are on the 25th, and late on the 25th, still waiting for a bigger pattern shift to come through. So let's talk about accumulation here. We'll start out with the Northeast. Here's what I'm thinking. The 21st through the 27th, light to moderate accumulation, mainly from that Northeast, that coastal potential storm. Yesterday I was kind of going moderate to heavy, but today I drew down the numbers a little bit just based on the intensity and the track, but they could go back up if those conditions and those variables are optimized. So that's the Northeast, 21 through 27. Now for the West, I broke it down in terms of two different periods. Here is the 20th through the 22nd. It's all in the Pacific Northwest, northern Idaho, with that small little area that kind of sneaks into that region. Then things start to pick up. Now keep in mind, this is the 23rd through the 28th, so that's a lot of time. And the numbers you see in California, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming for that matter, mostly come through very late in the period, after the 26th, 27th, 28th, as the pattern shift occurs and we start to see the jet buckle to the south. If that doesn't occur, then most of these numbers don't happen. But it still looks good for the Pacific Northwest, BC, Banff, northern Idaho, northwest Montana, as we start to see the jet come down. In those areas, we start to get some overrunning and the precip blows into those areas. But again, further south, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, California, really dependent on how far south the jet actually buckles late in the period. So there you go. That's the way it looks to me right now. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk with you later.